I watched my mother's face crumble as my father's words echoed through the private dining room at Bellissimo's, the upscale Italian restaurant chain that had become synonymous with family celebrations across the tri-state area. Tonight was supposed to be her 60th birthday, a milestone that deserved elegance and joy. Instead, she was being publicly humiliated by the man she'd devoted 40 years of her life to supporting. "David, please," Mom whispered, her hands trembling as she reached for her water glass. "Can we just have a nice dinner? It's my birthday." My father's face was red, his voice carrying to nearby tables despite the supposed privacy of our reserved section. "A nice dinner? Linda, you don't even work anymore. You contribute nothing to this family. You think you can just order the most expensive items on the menu like you're still relevant." My older brother Marcus leaned back in his chair, swirling his wine with a smirk. "That's right, Mom. Ever since you retired from teaching, you've been dead weight. This dinner is probably costing more than you made in a month at that little elementary school." His wife Jennifer nodded enthusiastically, her diamond bracelet catching the light as she gestured dismissively at Mom. "Honestly, Linda, maybe you should have stayed home. The rest of us are actually successful. We belong in places like this." I sat quietly at the end of the table watching the scene unfold. My younger sister Rachel hadn't even bothered to acknowledge Mom's birthday. She was too busy taking selfies, angling her phone to capture the restaurant's elegant crystal chandeliers and imported Italian marble columns. "Rachel, put that phone down," Mom said softly. "Can we at least pretend to be a family tonight?" Rachel rolled her eyes. "Mom, this is content. My followers need to see me living my best life. Besides, Dad's paying for this dinner, not you. You're basically here as a guest." "Exactly," my father said, slamming his hand on the table hard enough to make the silverware jump. "I'm paying for everything. I've always paid for everything. Your teaching salary was barely enough to cover groceries. Everything we have, everything this family has achieved came from my investment firm." Mom's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. "I raised 3 children. I supported your career for 40 years. You did the bare minimum," Marcus interrupted. "Meanwhile, Dad built an empire. And now you're here ordering lobster and champagne like you earned it. It's embarrassing." I took a slow sip of my water, saying nothing. I'd learned long ago that intervening in these family dynamics only made things worse. My father had always been controlling and dismissive toward Mom, but it had gotten exponentially worse since she'd retired from teaching 2 years ago. Without the shield of contributing financially, she'd become their favorite target. Jennifer leaned toward Marcus, speaking just loud enough for everyone to hear. "I don't understand why she even gets a birthday dinner. My mother had to earn special occasions. She didn't just expect them." "You know what the problem is?" my father said, standing up now, his chair scraping loudly against the polished floor. "The problem is that your mother has always had delusions of grandeur. She thinks she's something special when she's just a former elementary school teacher who couldn't even make it to principal." "David, please sit down," Mom said, her voice breaking. "People are staring." "Let them stare," he shouted. "Let them see what happens when someone gets too comfortable living off someone else's success. You don't work, Linda. You don't contribute. You're a financial burden, and frankly, you don't deserve to be in a restaurant like this." Rachel finally looked up from her phone. "Dad, you're being so loud. This is literally ruining my content." "I don't care about your content," Dad snapped, but then he seemed to reconsider. "Actually, Rachel, you're right. We shouldn't be here with her. This is supposed to be a celebration and she's bringing down the whole atmosphere." Marcus stood up as well. "Why don't we just go somewhere else? The 3 of us and Jennifer. Let Mom figure out how to get home on her own. Maybe that'll teach her some gratitude." "That's perfect," Jennifer said, already gathering her designer purse. "There's that new sushi place downtown. Much more exclusive. No dead weight allowed." Mom looked at me desperately. "Ryan, please." I met her eyes but remained seated. I knew what was coming. I'd seen this pattern before. The escalation, the public humiliation, the unified front against her. I'd learned that jumping in too early only redirected their cruelty. Better to wait. "Ryan doesn't want to deal with this either," my father said, pointing at me dismissively. "He's probably as tired as the rest of us of carrying your mother's emotional baggage. He's just too polite to say it." "Ryan's always been the quiet one," Marcus added. "Probably too embarrassed to admit his own mother is pathetic." I said nothing, simply watching them with calm attention. I'd been called worse by this family. My silence had always been interpreted as weakness or complicity. They had no idea what it actually meant. "You know what?" my father said, his voice taking on a tone of finality. "Linda, get out. Get out of this restaurant. You can't afford to be here. You didn't earn the right to be here. This is our restaurant, our celebration, and you're ruining it." "Dad, come on," Rachel said, but not in defense of Mom. "Let's not make a scene. Let's just leave her here and go." "No," my father insisted. "She needs to leave. No. Before she embarrasses this family any further." Mom stood up slowly, her legs shaking. She looked around the table one more time, meeting each of our eyes. When she got to me, I gave her the smallest nod. "Trust me, I tried to communicate silently. Just wait." "Fine," Mom whispered. "I'll go." "Good," my father said. "And Linda? Don't expect to be invited to family events anymore. You clearly don't appreciate what you have. Maybe some time alone will help you understand how lucky you've been to ride on my coattails all these years." As Mom gathered her coat, her hands trembling so badly she could barely button it, I stood up. Not quickly. Not dramatically. Just a smooth, calm motion that drew everyone's attention. "Where do you think you're going?" my father demanded. "Sit back down, Ryan. We're not done here." "Actually," I said quietly, "I think we are." Before anyone could respond, the door to our private dining room opened. Antonio Ricci, the regional manager for Bellissimo's entire East Coast operations, entered with 3 members of his staff. I'd sent him a discreet text 15 minutes ago, and his timing was perfect. Antonio's expression shifted from professional hospitality to genuine concern the moment he saw my face. "Mr. Williams," he said, addressing me directly while ignoring everyone else at the table. "Is everything all right?" One of the servers mentioned raised voices. "I came immediately when I saw you were here tonight." My father's face twisted in confusion. "Excuse me, we're having a private family dinner. Whatever service issue you're here to address can wait." Antonio didn't even glance at my father. His eyes remained fixed on me. "Mr. Williams, I apologize for any disturbance. Should I have security escort anyone out? Your comfort in any of our establishments is our top priority." "Wait, why are you calling him Mr. Williams?" Marcus demanded. "His name is Ryan. He's the owner," Antonio said simply, as if stating an obvious fact. "Ryan Williams is the principal owner of Bellissimo's restaurant group. All 47 locations across the tri-state area. I report directly to him." The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the soft classical music playing through the restaurant's sound system. My father's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Marcus had gone pale. Jennifer's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. Rachel's phone clattered onto the table. "That's impossible," my father finally managed. "Ryan works in tech. He's some kind of computer programmer. He barely makes 6 figures." "I do work in tech," I said calmly. "I developed restaurant management software. 10 years ago, I created a platform that revolutionized how high-end restaurant chains handle everything from inventory to staffing to customer experience. Bellissimo's was my first major client. I sold them the software and took payment partially in equity." Antonio nodded. "The software increased our efficiency by 37% in the first year alone. It was revolutionary." Mr. Williams was offered a significant ownership stake as part of the licensing agreement. Over the years, as the chain expanded, he acquired additional shares. He now owns 51% of Bellissimo's restaurant group. "But I've worked with Bellissimo's corporate team for years," my father protested, his voice weak. "I handle some of their investment portfolios. Nobody ever mentioned." "You handle the retirement accounts for some of our regional managers," I corrected. "You've never dealt with ownership or executive-level decisions. Why would you?" Marcus was shaking his head. "This doesn't make sense. You drive a 10-year-old Honda. You live in a normal apartment. You never talk about money." "Because I don't need to," I said simply. "The restaurant group generates approximately $83 million in annual revenue. My ownership stake, combined with licensing fees from 17 other major restaurant chains now using my software, provides substantial income. I choose to live modestly because I prefer it that way." "Mr. Williams has been extraordinarily generous to our staff," Antonio added. "He implemented the industry's best profit-sharing program, full health care for all employees including part-time workers and paid parental leave. He's also been quietly funding culinary scholarships through the Bellissimo Foundation. Over 300 students have received full tuition to culinary school in the past 5 years. Mom was staring at me, tears streaming down her face, but now they weren't tears of humiliation. Ryan, you never said anything. You never needed to know, I said gently. You raised me to value substance over status. You taught me that true success isn't about showing off. Those lessons stuck. My father found his voice again, but it was different now. Calculated, ingratiating. Son, I think there's been a misunderstanding here. Your mother and I were just having a disagreement. Nothing serious. You know how couples are. Why don't we all sit back down and enjoy this wonderful dinner? At your restaurant. Your very impressive, very successful restaurant. I looked at him with the same calm expression I'd maintained all evening. No, I don't think so. You told Mom to get out of your restaurant. You said she couldn't afford to be here. You said she didn't deserve to be here. So let's address that. I turned to Antonio. What was the total bill going to be for tonight's dinner? He glanced at his tablet. Based on what's been ordered so far, approximately $2,400, Mr. Williams. And my father was planning to pay for this? Sir. The reservation was made under David Williams's name with his credit card on file. Cancel that, I said. My father is correct that my mother can't afford a dinner like this on a teacher's pension. So I'll be covering her meal personally. As for the rest of them, I gestured to my father, Marcus, Jennifer, and Rachel. They can pay for their own meals. Separately. At full price. No family discount. Jennifer gasped. You can't be serious. That's over $500 each. You said you belonged in places like this, I reminded her. That you're successful. Prove it. Marcus stood up abruptly. Ryan, come on. We're family. You're really going to humiliate us like this. Humiliate you? I repeated softly. Dad told Mom she was dead weight. You called her pathetic. Jennifer said she didn't deserve to be here. Rachel, you couldn't even put down your phone long enough to acknowledge her birthday. And now you're concerned about humiliation. Mr. Williams, Antonio interjected smoothly, there's actually one more matter. The reservation for this private dining room was made 3 months in advance. It's one of our most sought-after spaces. I've checked the account, and the booking was made under your mother's name, Linda Williams, not your father's. My father's face flushed. That's just a technicality. I made the reservation. I used her name because you didn't want your credit card charged the deposit, I finished. Yes, I can see that in the booking notes. Mom's debit card was charged the $500 deposit for this room. You planned to reimburse her, but according to the account notes, that reimbursement never came through. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. You said you'd pay me back. 3 months ago. You said it was just temporary. I forgot, my father said dismissively. It's $500, Linda. Don't be dramatic. Antonio, I said, please refund my mother's deposit immediately. And add $1,000 credit to her personal dining account. She's welcome at any Bellissimo location, anytime as my permanent guest. Already done, Mr. Williams, Antonio said, typing on his tablet. Mrs. Williams, you now have a platinum guest account. No reservations needed, priority seating and full menu access at all 47 locations. Rachel was frantically trying to process everything. Wait, so Ryan owns all the Bellissimo restaurants? Like, every single one we've been to for every family event for the past 5 years. 8 years, I corrected. I acquired majority ownership 8 years ago. Every birthday dinner, every anniversary celebration, every graduation party at Bellissimo's. I've been quietly covering 70% of the cost through owner credits. Dad's been taking credit for treating the family while paying a fraction of the actual bill. My father's face had gone from red to white. That's not, I didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked, I said. You just assumed. The same way you assumed Mom contributed nothing to this family. The same way you assumed I was just some low-level tech worker. The same way you've always assumed that loud voices and financial bullying make you important. Marcus tried a different approach. Look, Ryan, we're sorry, okay? We didn't understand the situation. But we're family. Surely we can work this out. Are you sorry? I asked genuinely. Are you sorry you called Mom dead weight? Are you sorry you said she was embarrassing? Or are you sorry that you just discovered I have more money and power than you thought? The silence answered my question. Mr. Williams, Antonio said, there's a matter of the other reservations under the Williams family name. There are 6 upcoming bookings over the next 4 months, including a rehearsal dinner for. He consulted his tablet, a Marcus Williams next month. Would you like to review these reservations? Marcus went pale. That's my wedding rehearsal dinner. Ryan, you can't. I'm not canceling anything, I said. But I'm also not subsidizing them anymore. All future Williams family reservations will be charged at full price. No owner credits, no discounts. If you can afford it, great. If not, there are plenty of other restaurants. Do you have any idea how much a rehearsal dinner for 60 people costs here? Marcus demanded. Approximately $18,000, I said. For the menu you selected. Plus the private terrace rental. But like Jennifer said, you're successful. You belong in places like this. So I'm sure you'll figure it out. Jennifer was crying now, actual tears. Marcus, our wedding budget can't handle that. We were counting on family support. We'll have to change everything. Change it then, I said simply. Or maybe apologize to Mom sincerely and hope she's more forgiving than I am. We just didn't think, Marcus started. Exactly, I cut him off. You didn't think. Because you've never had to face consequences for how you treat people. Well, tonight that changes. What does that mean? Rachel asked nervously. It means the free ride is over, I said. No more owner credits at any of my 47 restaurants. No more using the Williams family name to get priority reservations. No more casually mentioning to people that you dine at Bellissimo's regularly when you're only able to afford it because I've been secretly covering most of the bill. I looked at each of them in turn. It means you'll have to decide who you want to be. People who genuinely change and make amends, or people who just want access to money and status. Mom will decide if and when she forgives you. I've made my decision already. You're cutting us off completely? Jennifer asked. I'm stopping enabling you, I corrected. There's a difference. You all have jobs. You all claim to be successful. Prove it without my subsidies. Antonio cleared his throat gently. Mr. Williams, there's one more thing. The press has been requesting an interview about your restaurant expansion plans. Should I continue declining? What expansion? My father asked. We're opening 23 new locations over the next 2 years, I said. Across 6 states. We're also launching a mid-scale casual dining concept targeting families who can't afford fine dining but want quality food and service. It's something Mom and I have been planning for 18 months. Mom and you. Marcus repeated. Who do you think helped me understand what teachers, nurses, and other underpaid professionals need in a restaurant experience? I said. Who do you think gave me insights into creating family-friendly spaces that don't sacrifice quality? Mom's been consulting on the new concept from the beginning. She's been contributing far more to my actual success than any of you realized. Mom squeezed my hand and I saw pride in her eyes. Real pride, not the performative kind my father showed when bragging about his investment returns at cocktail parties. Mrs. Williams, Antonio said warmly, your birthday dinner is ready whenever you are. We've prepared the chef's 12-course tasting menu, paired with non-alcoholic botanical beverages as you prefer. The table is set with your favorite flowers, and we've arranged for the live pianist to perform in the adjacent room. Thank you, Antonio, Mom said, her voice steady now. Then she turned to face my father and siblings. I want you all to know something. For years, I believed you when you said I wasn't contributing enough. I thought maybe you were right, that teaching and raising children wasn't impressive compared to investment portfolios and corporate jobs. But my son just taught me something important. She stood straighter, her dignity fully restored. Real contribution isn't measured in dollars or status. It's measured in the lives you touch and the values you instill. I may not own restaurants or manage portfolios, but I raised a man who built something meaningful and stayed humble. I taught hundreds of children to read and think critically. And I did it all while maintaining my integrity, which is something none of you can say tonight. Linda, my father started. I'm not finished, Mom said firmly. You have my number. If you want to apologize, truly apologize, not just because you found out Ryan is wealthy, then call me. Otherwise don't bother. I've spent 40 years making excuses for your behavior, David. I'm done. She looked at Marcus and Rachel. I love you both. But I raised you better than this. If you can't figure out how to treat people with basic respect, then you learn nothing from me, and that's my failure. But it's also your choice now. Be better or don't, but leave me out of it until you decide. As we walked out of the private dining room, I heard my father's voice, smaller than before. How did this happen? How did we not know? Antonio's response was crisp and professional. Perhaps you weren't paying attention to the right things, sir. Now your bill for tonight comes to $2,100 split 4 ways. Will you be paying separately or together? The last thing I heard as the door closed was Marcus groaning, "This is going to destroy our wedding budget," and Jennifer crying harder. In the VIP dining room, soft piano music drifted through the air as Antonio's staff served course after course of exquisitely prepared food. Mom and I really talked for the first time in months. She asked questions about the business I'd always deflected before, and I told her everything. The early struggles, the breakthrough that changed everything, the expansion plans, the charitable foundation she'd inspired. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked again. "Not because of them, but just, why keep it from me?" "Because you never treated me differently based on what I achieved," I said. "You were proud of me when I graduated, when I got my first job, when I started the company. Your pride never fluctuated based on my income or status. That's incredibly rare, Mom. I didn't want to risk changing that dynamic." She nodded slowly. "And tonight they forced my hand," I said. "I couldn't watch them do that to you anymore. Not when I had the power to stop it." "The security footage," she said. "You really would have kept it quiet if they'd behaved?" "Absolutely," I confirmed. "I hoped we'd have a nice dinner. I prepared for the worst. That's just good planning." She laughed, actually laughed, for the first time all evening. "You get that from me, you know. The teaching profession teaches you to hope for the best and plan for everything else." "I learned from the best," I said. My phone buzzed. Then again. And again. Text messages from my father, Marcus, and Rachel all appearing in rapid succession. I glanced at the previews without opening them. "Dad, we need to talk. This is ridiculous. Family doesn't treat family like this." "Marcus, Ryan, seriously? You're going to ruin my wedding over one dinner?" "Rachel, can we please just forget tonight happened? I'll delete all the content I filmed. Just please don't cancel the holiday reservation in December." I showed the messages to Mom. "What do you think I should do?" She considered for a moment. "What do you want to do?" "I want you to enjoy your birthday," I said. "The rest can wait." "Then let it wait," she agreed. We spent the next 2 hours enjoying the incredible meal, sharing stories, and planning the new restaurant concept. Mom had ideas about family-friendly layouts, pricing structures that made quality food accessible, and community programs that could partner with schools. Her insights were brilliant. Practical, empathetic, and focused on serving people who'd been overlooked by the restaurant industry. As dessert arrived, a custom-created birthday cake with 60 elegant candles, Antonio approached with a small wrapped box. "From the ownership team, Mrs. Williams," he said. "Happy birthday." Inside was a key card and a document. Mom read it slowly, then looked at me with wide eyes. "Ryan, this is too much." "What is it?" I asked, though I already knew. I'd approved it 2 weeks ago. "It's a lifetime platinum dining membership," she said. "At every Bellissimo location and all partner restaurants in the ownership network. And a seat on the advisory board for the new family dining concept. The advisory board position comes with a consulting fee," I added. $60,000 annually, plus equity in the new concept. You'll be contributing directly to something that could impact thousands of families. Seems like something a former teacher would be perfect for." She started crying again, but these tears were different. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," I suggested. "Say you'll help me build something meaningful. Say you'll finally let me show you the respect and appreciation you've always deserved but rarely received." "Yes," she whispered. "Yes to all of it." My phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from my father. I declined it. Then a call from Marcus. Declined. Then Rachel. Declined. "Shouldn't you answer them?" Mom asked. "Not tonight," I said. "Tonight is about you. They can wait until they're ready to have a real conversation, not just scrambling to repair their access to free dinners." Antonio appeared one final time. "Mr. Williams, I apologize for interrupting, but there's a situation. Your father and siblings are still in the restaurant. They've finished their meals but seem to be having difficulty with the bill." I raised an eyebrow. "Difficulty? Your father's credit card was declined. He's claiming it's an error, but I've run it 3 times. Your brother is trying to negotiate a payment plan, and your sister is asking if we accept payment via social media promotion." Despite everything, I had to laugh. "What did you tell them?" "That we accept cash, credit, or debit cards only. And that while we appreciate social media coverage, we have a strict policy against influencer trades." "How much are they short?" Your father can cover his portion. Your brother is short approximately $400, and your sister is short her entire bill. I looked at Mom. Your call. She thought about it, really thought about it, then said, cover Rachel's meal. She's young and stupid, but she's not malicious like the others. Maybe this will teach her something. Marcus made his choices as an adult. Let him figure it out. Are you sure? I asked. I'm sure, she said firmly. Rachel might learn. Marcus won't, not unless he faces real consequences. I called Antonio over and gave him instructions. Cover Rachel's bill. Give her a ride home if she needs it. But have a staff member explain very clearly that this is a one-time courtesy from her mother, not from the restaurant. As for Marcus, he can work it out himself. If he can't pay, you have standard procedures for that. We do, Antonio confirmed. We'll work with him on washing dishes or calling someone for help. Should I offer to call his wife? That's up to him, I said. But don't let him leave the restaurant until the bill is settled. As we finally left Bellissimo's that night, I saw my brother through the kitchen windows, wearing an apron and scrubbing dishes under the supervision of the head chef. Jennifer sat at a staff table, crying while waiting for her father to drive an hour from their hometown to pay their portion of the bill. Rachel was being guided to a car by a restaurant employee, looking shocked and subdued. My father stood in the lobby, his face a mixture of rage and humiliation as he tried to explain to the night manager that this was all a misunderstanding, that he was an important client, that he knew the owner. You do know the owner, the night manager said politely. He's the gentleman who just left with his mother. And he gave very clear instructions about your account status going forward. Mom squeezed my hand as we walked to my car. Thank you, she said quietly. Not for the money or the restaurant. Thank you for seeing me. For valuing what I contributed all these years. You taught me everything that matters, Mom, I said. They taught me what success looks like when it's empty of values. You taught me what it looks like when it's built on them. That's why I'm successful and they're washing dishes. As I drove her home, my phone continued buzzing with messages, each one more desperate than the last. But they could wait. Tonight, Mom and I talked about the future. About restaurant concepts that would honor teachers and nurses and all the undervalued professionals who made society work. About creating something that mattered beyond profit margins and status symbols. And tomorrow, when my family came calling with their apologies and requests and demands, I'd decide whether they'd learned anything or just wanted access to money again. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, my mother had the birthday she deserved in a restaurant I built, surrounded by respect I'd always had for her, and they'd finally been forced to see. The power wasn't in owning the restaurants. It was in choosing when to reveal it and using it to protect someone who'd never asked for protection but always deserved it. That's what real success looks like.